I'm Jen, and I make useful English lit study videos on Shakespeare, poetry, fiction, literary devices, and more to help you get top grades. So in today's video, we'll be having a three-way conversation with Plato, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Friedrich Nietzsche about Macbeth. Seriously guys, what even is the meaning of studying Macbeth? All jokes aside, I'll be discussing how we can read the play through the lens of existentialist philosophy, alongside some close reading of quotations relevant to existentialist ideas. So this is definitely a video for top grade students, which you definitely are if you're watching. So if you want to impress your teachers and read Macbeth on a more advanced level, then make sure that you sit tight, watch till the end of the video, and let's get the brain juices going. I'm born to do great things. I know it. How do you know that? It's encoded in my being, like my essence, you know? That thing that everyone is born with, which contains our purpose in the world. Well, my purpose is to do great things. I don't think so. I mean, none of us is born with any purpose. We're born into this world just because. Like, it's totally random. There's no reason for it, and sorry to burst your bubble, mate, but no one is born to do great things, or born to do anything, for that matter. You're right, mate. What's up with all the pessimism? On the contrary, I'm actually an optimist. Precisely because we're not born with any preordained purpose, we must seek to create purpose and meaning in our lives. I'm just saying that we are the ones who create the purpose, but that purpose isn't inherent to our identity. In other words, existence precedes essence. Well, I can't say I agree, but maybe we should ask our friend, the Nihilist. Hey, Nihilist, what do you think? Well, I think you guys are ridiculous. There's no purpose, no meaning, no nothing in life. Nada. In fact, I don't even know why we're having this conversation right now. Or heck, why I'm even in this room with you guys. Or in this world. Where's the window? So I hope that exchange gave you some ideas as to what existentialism means and how it's different from essentialism and nihilism, which are two related philosophies. According to Plato's theory of forms, everything in this world contains an inherent purpose for why it exists. There's an essence to all things, which Plato calls the idea or form. Now, this essence, in the context of understanding humans, could be understood as a universal human nature, which everyone is supposed to possess, regardless of individual circumstances and differences. On the other hand, existentialist philosophers like Kierkegaard and Sartre argue that we're not born with any innate meaning or mission, only the agency and freedom to forge a meaning or mission for ourselves as we live. But this freedom isn't so much liberating as it is terrifying, because it implies tremendous personal responsibility and redirects the onus of how we live from an external agent like God back to our individual selves. In other words, only you can make of life what you will, which is terrifying, but equally, you can make of life what you will, which can be empowering. But any discussion of where meaning comes from goes to naught in the face of a nihilist like Nietzsche, because nihilism posits that there's fundamentally no meaning to life. There are no true values or beliefs in this world, and so all existence is emptiness. And the extreme but only logical conclusion for any real nihilist is suicide. So with all this philosophy 101 out of the way, let's now take a look at how essentialism, existentialism, and nihilism play out in Macbeth. Now, in a way, the witch's prophecy of Macbeth's kingship stirs up essentialist thoughts in the man. Despite Macbeth's doubt, we can see early on that he believes he is born with a preordained sense of greatness. This is reflected in his aside in Act 1, Scene 3, when he says, "Two truths are told, as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme." The dramatic imagery here suggests the idea of a predetermined life. And just as plays must first be written before they can be staged, So Macbeth's purpose has already been written into the script of his destiny before the events can pan out in his life. As the Thane of Glamis and Cawdor, he's now living the happy prologues. But there's the swelling act of the imperial theme, that climax of becoming king that he seems to believe will inevitably arrive. As Macbeth continues his speech, we see more evidence of his essentialist mindset. If chance will have me king, why, chance may crown me without my stir. The word chance here means fate or destiny. At this point, Macbeth doesn't think he needs to take any action, precisely because he believes kingship is part of his DNA. This notion is reinforced by the personification of chance, which imbues fate with the agency of determining Macbeth's life course. By the way guys, I'd massively appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button below, subscribe to my channel and switch on that bell notification if you find this video helpful so far. This would really help me carry on making these useful English Lit study videos so that you can get top grades in the subject and we can inspire more people to enjoy the study of literature. Throughout the play, Macbeth's meaning in life is to obtain power through kingship. In existentialist philosophy, individual agency is central to the creation of meaning in life. To have meaning in life, man must be proactive in making meaning for himself, not passively living out some sort of meaning designed for him. Compared to her more essentialist husband, Lady Macbeth is more of an existentialist because she believes that true freedom comes from taking action. We see this in her soliloquy upon receiving Macbeth's letter about the witch's prophecy, when she reflects on Macbeth's nature. What thou wouldst highly, that wouldst thou holily, wouldst not play false, and yet wouldst wrongly win. Thou'dst have, great Glamis, that which cries, thus thou must do, if thou have it, and that which rather thou dost fear to do than wishest should be undone. Now note the repetition of the word do. To do anything is of course to take action. And Lady Macbeth's gripe with her husband is that he can't ever muster up the agency to do anything to get what he wants, or in existentialist terms, to create his life's true meaning. But perhaps Lady Macbeth misunderstands the reason for Macbeth's restraint. It isn't fear or that he's too full of the milk of human kindness which holds him back, but rather that he believes his ambition will realise itself as part of the predestined blueprint of his life. As reflected in his soliloquy in Act 1, Scene 7, when he echoes his wife's reference to doing, if it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. In Macbeth's preference for the passive voice, if it were done when 'tis done, it were done quickly, we see the man's sense of having his action already carried out for him. By this point though, we see his wife's existentialist influence gradually taking hold, as he goes on to say, but in these cases we still have judgment here, that we would teach bloody instructions, which, being taught, return to plague the inventor. So Macbeth's observation, we still have judgment here, signals the beginnings of a shift in Macbeth's understanding of where meaning originates. From taking a more passive stance of viewing chance and fate as the predeterminers of life, he now recognises that man had the judgment to teach bloody instructions, i.e. to initiate violent plans and to be the originators of seismic actions. Macbeth's conversion from essentialism to existentialism culminates after he kills Duncan, when he announces to his wife, I have done the deed. This time, the individual pronoun I takes centre stage as the sole agent for a definitive act. And with this, Macbeth departs from his more essentialist instincts to embrace his wife's existentialist ethos. But there is an irony at the heart of Macbeth's existentialism. The meaning that he pursues through the violent murders of Duncan, Banquo and Macduff's family is, at its core, nihilistic. As Nietzsche writes, nihilism is not only the belief that everything deserves to perish, but one actually puts one's shoulder to the plough. One destroys. So far from Sartre's concept of responsible freedom, which assumes that individuals make decisions knowing that they pose broader effects on society, Macbeth's course of action is closer to Nietzsche's impulse to destroy. According to Nietzsche, the nihilist doesn't believe in the necessity of being logical, and indeed, Macbeth's pursuit of Banquo and Macduff stems not from logic and reason, but from a strong irrational impulse to annihilate all that he fears would stand in his way. And finally, there's of course Macbeth's famous tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow speech, which is often regarded as an example of nihilistic thought. Now, for a more detailed analysis of this tomorrow speech, you can check out my video here. But for the purposes of our discussion today, notice two sources of irony in Macbeth's speech. First, the existentialist Lady Macbeth commits suicide, which is of course a nihilistic act. And second, Macbeth is expressing a nihilistic lament of someone who had first set him on a path charged with existentialist impetus, which then morphs into an anti-existential project of death and carnage. The meaninglessness of life is also conveyed through the metonymy of a walking shadow, with the word shadow being a substitute for man, who is here hollowed out by the trials and tribulations of life. Ultimately, when all the sound and fury fade away, life signifies nothing, which is a revelation all the more poignant, especially after we see Macbeth having taken so many actions to seek his own version of meaning, only for them to lead to his tragic end. And there you have it, guys, Macbeth's trajectory from being an essentialist to an existentialist to finally a nihilist. Specifically, perhaps it'd be fair to say that Macbeth is a born essentialist who believes he's imbued with a predestined purpose in life. But he's also a converted and failed existentialist, egged on by his zealous wife. And finally, he is a resigned nihilist who is forced to accept that nothing lasts in life, and so ultimately, nothing really matters. I hope this video gives you some new insights into the play and that it inspires you to read Macbeth in a different light. And as always, if you found this video helpful, please do hit the thumbs up button below, subscribe to my channel, and switch on that bell notification so that you never miss a top grade English lit video from me. You can also check out my Macbeth playlist, which I will link to in the description box below. And I'll see you guys next time.